The sound of Dr. Victoria Chen's hand slamming against the podium echoed through the conference hall like a gunshot. 250 pediatric oncologists went silent mid-whisper. Some actually gasped. "This is unacceptable," Victoria said, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Dr. Martinez, sit down before you embarrass this institution further." My hands shook as I stood there, laptop still open, my 2 years of research glowing on the screen behind me. The presentation I'd practiced 100 times. The protocol that could save children's lives. My work. Except according to my department head, it was garbage. I felt my face burning as I gathered my notes. Slowly. Methodically. Because if I moved too fast, I might actually break down in front of everyone. 3 colleagues from Massachusetts General wouldn't meet my eyes. The research director from Johns Hopkins was studying his phone like it held the secrets of the universe. Dr. Patricia Morrison from the National Cancer Institute, who'd flown in specifically for this presentation, looked confused. Victoria had already taken my place at the podium. "I apologize for that display," she said smoothly to the audience. "Dr. Martinez is young and enthusiastic, but as I reviewed her research last night, I found several critical flaws in her methodology that could have damaged our hospital's reputation. I'll be presenting the corrected version myself." The corrected version of my research. That she'd requested my full files for just yesterday. I was halfway to the exit when my phone buzzed in my pocket. "Unknown number. Dr. Martinez, don't leave the building. Your department head is about to get the surprise of her career. Meet me in the west hallway. Now." Dr. Robertson. I stopped walking. Dr. James Robertson, editor-in-chief of the Journal of Pediatric Oncology. The journal I'd submitted my research to 6 months ago. The journal that had accepted it for publication next month. What was he doing here? I slipped out the side door while Victoria launched into what was clearly MY introduction. About MY 18 months of clinical trials. About MY innovative combination therapy protocol. Word for word. Like she'd written it herself. Dr. Robertson was waiting by the conference room windows. A tablet in his hands and an expression on his face I couldn't quite read. He was in his early 60s, silver-haired, with the kind of reputation that made young researchers whisper when he walked past. "Dr. Martinez," he said quietly, "I need you to see something." He turned the tablet toward me. It showed 2 documents side by side. On the left, my journal submission from 6 months ago, complete with metadata timestamps. On the right, another submission. Same title. Same research. Same everything. Except the author listed was Dr. Victoria Chen. And the submission date was 3 weeks ago. "I don't understand," I said, even though I absolutely did understand. I just couldn't believe it. "Your department head," Dr. Robertson said, his voice careful and controlled, "submitted your research to our journal under her name 3 weeks ago. Our plagiarism detection software flagged it immediately as a duplicate of your earlier submission. We traced the IP addresses, the document metadata, even the original Excel files embedded in the methodology section." He swiped to another screen. "This is the 3rd time Dr. Chen has done this. We have documented evidence of her stealing research from at least 4 other junior physicians over the past 7 years. But she's been protected by institutional politics and her mentor, who was on our editorial board until he retired last month." My throat felt tight. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I'm tired of watching talented young doctors get crushed by people who've forgotten what integrity means." He glanced back toward the conference room doors. "And because Dr. Chen just made a critical mistake. She's presenting research she doesn't actually understand to a room full of experts. Including me. What do you want me to do?" "Nothing yet." His eyes had a glint that reminded me of my medical school professors right before they asked the question that would make an overconfident student squirm. "Just watch." We slipped back into the conference room. Victoria was deep into the methodology section now, explaining my modified dosing protocol with the kind of confidence that comes from reading words off a screen rather than spending 18 months in clinical trials. A hand went up. "Dr. Morrison from the National Cancer Institute. Dr. Chen, can you explain your rationale for the alternating administration schedule? It's quite innovative, but I'm curious about the pharmacokinetics that led you to that decision." I watched Victoria's face. Saw the micro-expression that lasted maybe half a second. Panic. Then she smiled. "The pharmacokinetics are detailed in the appendix." As you can see from the data, the alternating schedule maximized bioavailability while minimizing toxicity in the patient cohort. She hadn't answered the question. She just repeated technical words that sounded right. Dr. Morrison nodded, but her expression was thoughtful. Suspicious. Another hand. Dr. Chen from Stanford. Your control group selection is interesting. How did you account for the confounding variables in patient age and prior treatment history? Victoria clicked to the next slide. We used standard statistical controls, as outlined in our methodology. The data speaks for itself. Again, no actual answer. Just deflection. I felt Dr. Robertson shift beside me. He raised his hand. Victoria's smile didn't quite reach her eyes when she called on him. Dr. Robertson. A pleasure. Dr. Chen, I have a technical question about your cell culture methodology. In your third round of trials, you noted using a modified growth medium. Can you explain why you chose that particular modification and how it affected the apoptosis markers? The room went very quiet. That wasn't the kind of question you could deflect. It required actual knowledge of the day-to-day research process. Knowledge that Victoria didn't have because she'd never stepped foot in my lab. The modified growth medium, Victoria said slowly, was chosen based on current best practices in the field. Interesting, Dr. Robertson said, because Dr. Sarah Martinez, who submitted this exact research to my journal 6 months ago under her own name, noted in her detailed methodology that she chose that modification because her preliminary trials showed traditional medium was causing unexpected cell death in her specific patient-derived samples. That's quite a specific detail to leave out, don't you think? The room erupted. Not in sound but in energy. 250 oncologists all having the same realization at once. Victoria's face went pale, then red. I don't know what you're implying, but I'm not implying anything. Dr. Robertson stood up, tablet in hand. I'm stating facts. Dr. Martinez submitted this research to the Journal of Pediatric Oncology on March 15th. You submitted an identical paper, word for word, on October 28th. Our plagiarism detection software caught it immediately. The metadata in the embedded files shows they were created on Dr. Martinez's hospital computer. The revision history shows 18 months of work by Dr. Martinez, with your name appearing for the first time 3 weeks ago. He walked toward the front of the room. Victoria backed away from the podium like he was contagious. I've been investigating you for 4 years, Dr. Chen. Ever since Dr. Michael Park, who worked under you at Beth Israel, contacted me about research you'd co-authored with him. Research that he'd done entirely himself. Research that you presented at conferences and used to secure grant funding. Dr. Park left medicine entirely because of what you did to him. Dr. Robertson projected a new image on the screen. A spreadsheet, timeline after timeline of research submissions, with 2 names beside each, the original researcher and Victoria's name appearing months later. Dr. Jennifer Wu, Dr. David Foster, Dr. Alicia Ramirez, Dr. Marcus Johnson, and now Dr. Sarah Martinez. All young physicians whose careers you tried to build your reputation on. All of them with documented evidence of original authorship. All of them silenced by institutional politics until now. The hospital's chief medical officer was standing up in the back row. So was the head of the hospital's research ethics board. Both looked somewhere between furious and mortified. Victoria was shaking. This is slander. I've been a department head for 15 years. I've published over 40 papers. My reputation, your reputation, Dr. Robertson interrupted, is built on theft, and it ends today. He turned to me. Dr. Martinez, would you like to explain to this audience how the modified growth medium actually worked? The real explanation. Not the sanitized version Dr. Chen just attempted. Every eye in the room turned to me. This time, not with pity or secondhand embarrassment. With expectation. I walked to the podium on legs that felt like they were filled with concrete. Victoria didn't move, just stood there like a statue. The modified growth medium, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, was something I stumbled on by accident. I was working late, around 2 in the morning, during my 3rd month of trials. We were losing cell viability in culture, and I couldn't figure out why. Traditional medium should have worked. It works for 90% of similar research. I pulled up my original slides, the ones Victoria had locked me out of presenting. But these weren't traditional cells, They were from pediatric patients with a specific genetic marker that made their leukemia cells behave differently. I tried 15 different modifications before I found one that worked. It required cutting the glucose concentration by 40% and adding a supplemental amino acid buffer that isn't standard in any protocol. Dr. Morrison was leaning forward, the pharmacokinetic question I asked earlier. About the alternating schedule, the standard protocol would have required daily administration, I explained. But in my trials, I noticed that the patient-derived cells showed a refractory period where they became resistant to treatment if exposed to the therapy compounds more than twice weekly. By alternating the schedule to every 3 days, we maintained therapeutic effectiveness while preventing resistance development. It meant treatment took longer, but success rates increased by 38%. That's remarkable, Dr. Morrison said quietly. How many patients were in your trial? 26. Pediatric acute lymphoblastic leukemia patients who'd failed 2 or more prior treatment regimens. 18 of them are now in complete remission. The longest remission is 14 months and counting. The room was silent except for the sound of doctors pulling out phones, taking notes, recording every word. Dr. Chen, the chief medical officer, said from the back row, his voice ice cold, "My office. Now." But Victoria was already walking toward the exit, her face completely blank. The head of research ethics followed her out. So did 2 other hospital administrators I recognized. Dr. Robertson handed me the podium remote. "I believe you have 45 minutes left in your scheduled presentation time, Dr. Martinez. The room is yours." I presented my research. The real research. Every detail I'd been preparing for 2 years. The audience asked questions, smart questions, questions that showed they understood exactly what I'd accomplished. Dr. Morrison invited me to co-present at the National Cancer Institute's annual symposium. Stanford offered me a visiting researcher position. 3 pharmaceutical companies wanted to discuss licensing my protocol for larger trials. And through it all, my phone kept buzzing with messages. Colleagues I hadn't heard from in months. Medical students asking if I was taking fellows. Reporters asking for interviews. The conference ended at 5:30. I was packing my laptop when Dr. Robertson approached again. "For what it's worth," he said, "your paper is scheduled for publication next month. Leading article. We'll be adding an editorial note about the attempted plagiarism and how our peer review process caught it. It might help other journals watch for similar patterns." "What's going to happen to her?" I asked. "Officially? That's up to your hospital and the medical board. Unofficially?" He shrugged. "She's finished. The chief medical officer is mandated to report this to the state medical licensing board. Her publications will be investigated. Any grants she received based on stolen research will be recalled. And every researcher she ever wronged now has documented evidence to file formal complaints." He paused. "Medicine is a small world, Dr. Martinez. Word travels fast. By tomorrow morning, every major research hospital in the country will know her name. Not the way she wanted." 3 weeks later, I got the call. Dr. Victoria Chen had been terminated from her position. Her medical license was under investigation. 2 of her previous co-authored papers had been retracted. The other junior researchers she'd stolen from were filing a class action lawsuit. And I was offered her position. Department head of pediatric oncology. At 34. The youngest in the hospital's history. I didn't take it. Not immediately. I negotiated instead. New authorship protection policies. Mandatory co-author verification for all research submissions. An independent ethics board for junior researchers to report concerns without fear of retaliation. And a research budget that would let me expand my clinical trials to include 50 more patients. They agreed to all of it. My protocol is now being used in 7 hospitals across the country. 38 children are in treatment. 31 are responding. Their parents send me cards sometimes, pictures of kids at birthday parties they weren't supposed to live to see. First days of school that should have been impossible. That's what Victoria never understood. This was never about prestige or publications or conference presentations. It was about an 8-year-old girl named Emma who spent my entire first month of trials asking me if her hair would grow back. It was about Marcus, who was 6 and wanted to be an astronaut. It was about Lily and Jackson and Aiden and 23 other kids who deserved someone fighting for them with everything they had. Victoria saw my work as a ladder to climb. I saw it as children who deserved to live. Funny how people like her spend so much time stealing credit that they forget what the work was actually for. They get so focused on the presentation that they miss the point entirely. They think talent is something you can take and claim as your own. But you can't steal years of failed experiments at 2 in the morning. You can't steal the moment when you finally see cells responding the way you hoped they would. You can't steal knowing a child's name, their favorite color, their dreams for the future. You can't steal caring enough to get it right. True talent isn't something that can be stolen. It can only be earned. One late night, one failed experiment, one small victory at a time. Victoria learned that the hard way. In front of 250 witnesses. And I learned something too. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting back in the moment. Sometimes it's letting someone hang themselves with their own arrogance while you quietly gather every piece of evidence you need. Sometimes justice doesn't need you to throw a punch.
They say just forget. Move on like it's easy. But forgetting you feels like remembering someone I've never seen. I've been trying to erase you from the places in my mind, but the harder that I fight it, the more you're hard to leave behind. Every memory keeps slipping through the cracks I try to close, like a face I should remember, but somehow never know. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. Every moment turns to fragments, every thought just fades to blue, like I'm searching for a feeling that still only leads to you. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. But now every empty moment still reminds me what is real. Forgetting you feels impossible, like chasing something I can't hold, like trying to remember someone that I've never even known. I keep reaching through the silence for a past I can't undo, 'cause letting go of what we had feels like losing something true. Don't pity me. My heart doesn't need your mercy. I can still stand on my own. I was broken by your leaving, fell deeper than I thought I would, but pain has taught me how to heal now and survive what once I couldn't. You don't have to look back sadly, don't reach out with guilty hands. What you shattered made me stronger. Now I rise where I once collapsed. My heart doesn't need need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. I once begged for your affection, now I've learned my worth in scars. And the man you left in pieces found his own way through the dark. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. Begun. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll rise alone again. I'll rise alone